Hello, my name is Elena Psara and I work as a sustainability manager for Rockfon. Today, I will try to give you a short introduction on LCA and EPDs and show you how you can use them to make sustainable decisions. I will explain to you the terms and then walk you through some very simple reminders that can help you if you want to perform a building assessment. We live in troubling times, and the last years is evident that our planet has reached its limits and is now sick, figuratively and literally. During this time, sustainability and green investments seem to be the only solutions to ensure a sustainable recovery. What our planet needs the most right now is a more sustainable future for everyone, and sustainability is everyone's responsibility. It starts and ends with our behavior and mindset, as well as the products and services we select. But how is it possible to assess the sustainability of the products, services, and investments for the future? In today's world, we are not usually offered only one alternative for our needs, sometimes not even two, but maybe 3, 4, or even more. As we are trying to integrate sustainability into our everyday lives, we have to be able to make the right decisions about the products we choose. I am sure that some of you already have wondered how you will be able to select between products for the same purpose and be sure that you made the most sustainable choice. For example, when you want to select a beer. This is where LCA comes into play. LCA stands for Life Cycle Assessment. It's a holistic approach that helps you analyze the environmental impacts of all stages within a product's life cycle. Let's take the example of a construction material. The life cycle assessment includes all the different life cycle stages. That means the extraction of raw materials and energy, their transport to the factory, and the final packaging and manufacturing. After that, the product is distributed to the customer. Then it is installed and stays at the building for some time. Maybe during this time, the product needs repair or replacement. In the end of its lifetime, the building is demolished. But the story does not end here. Many construction products can be recycled, so the circle starts again. And you hear me mentioning environmental impacts. Well, this can be the result of an LCA. These impacts are reported in various categories, which can be the following. But maybe most of you are more familiar with these terms instead. Climate change, ozone hole, water pollution, smoke, consumption of resources are some of the environmental impacts that you can find as the results of a life cycle assessment. Other results can be also the waste that is generated or the energy that was used for the production. The results of the LCA can be displayed in an EPD. EPD stands for Environmental Product Declaration. These declarations are very common for construction products, and they include technical information about the approach, assumptions, and scenarios for the LCA, but most importantly, the results that I showed you in the previous slide. You can find EPDs in public or private databases that are different for each country. For example, EBU, EPD Norway, or UL, or you can also find them in manufacturer websites. And these here are all examples of Rockfon or Rockfon EPDs. So, could we now take the results from the EPDs and simply compare them in order to select the best material? Well, if all things were equal, then I guess yes. The product with the lowest emissions would be the most sustainable one. But guess what? All things are not equal. Simply comparing EPDs is like comparing apples with oranges. Well, they are not the same, are they? At this point, I will show you some simple reminders to take into account where you want to evaluate the best material for you and your construction project. The first one is about the building context. Environmentally friendly materials are not a guarantee for a sustainable building. They're what we call intermediate products, and they develop their environmental characteristics once they are part of the building. So let me give you an example. I guess most of you remember the story of the three little pigs and how the big bad wolf destroyed their house again and again, even though they selected sustainable materials like straw or even like wood. But as soon as they selected a material which was appropriate for a windy area, especially since that wind came from the mouth of the big bad wolf, they were safe and they managed to survive. Everything is about the building context and choosing materials that can achieve a good performance in that. So what can we do? We can perform an LCA for the building and compare different building scenarios to understand what is the best option by always considering the application of the product and the benefits that it can offer. For example, take insulation materials. When you have different insulation materials, you can have different thermal conductivity values, which can lead to a difference in the final energy consumption of the building. Another thing which is very important is the second reminder here, which is about the durability. When selecting materials for your new project, it is also important to check the durability of those and their service life. Let me give you again an example I'm sure you can all relate to. So according to a study comparing different options for a groceries bag, a plastic bag has a carbon footprint of 1.6 kilograms of CO2. On the contrary, the impact of a paper bag is 5.5 kilograms of CO2, and believe it or not, that of a cotton bag is 271 kilograms of CO2. If you use them all one time, it is evident that the plastic bag is the best option in terms of CO2. But very often you use a plastic bag once or twice, and probably the paper and the cotton one maybe more times. To put that into perspective, you need to use the paper bag at least 3 times and the cotton bag at least 131 times in order to have a lower impact than the conventional plastic one. So if you know that you will be able to use the paper bag more than 3 times, then this is the best choice for you. Similarly, in the building context, would you choose a material that has low environmental impact but also a shorter lifespan, or you have to repair it a lot? Or would you choose a material that has highest impact but doesn't need replacement? The choice depends on the building use and lifetime, and this is why it is again important to always assess materials inside the building. The third reminder is about the environmental impact. Not everything is about CO2. Using again the example from before in the paper bag, we concluded that the best and the most appropriate option in terms of CO2, if you want to use a bag, for example, 7 or 8 times, is probably the paper bag, right? Well, not necessarily. We need to assess other indicators to conclude that, because not everything is about CO2. In the EPD only, you have 6 more indicators about the environmental impact, 18 more on energy and waste and resources. For example, how much energy is used, how much water, what type of waste is developed, on how the product is landfill or recycled. Does the product have high recycled content, or during production do we use any scarce resources? Are some only of the other aspects that you could evaluate. So not everything is black and white, and in order to make a final decision, you need to assess multiple factors and focus on the ones that matter for you and your project. But just keep in mind that you don't solve one problem, but you create 2 bigger ones. So to wrap up what we learned today, LCA helps you quantify the environmental performance of products, and EPD is a way to communicate the results. In order to take decisions on which product to select for your project, simply comparing EPDs is not enough. The functions of the product in the building level should be considered, and the whole building should be assessed. The durability of the products is also an important factor. And finally, environmental impacts are not only carbon emissions. There are several other categories to be assessed and other aspects to be looked at. For example, the waste generated, the recyclability of the product, the recycled content, or the use of energy and resources. In Rockfon, our EPDs cover the full portfolio of our products, and you can find them either in our local websites or in private databases. So this is the end of this session. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in my email address here or to one of our colleagues locally. And finally, if you want to see more about our approach to sustainability in Rockfon, here are some links. Thank you very much for your attention. Until next time.